Today on Gamer's Couch,
7 Wonders.
Hello!
Welcome back.
Welcome to the couch of the new age. Though we travel into the old ages, today with the board game that we're gonna talk about.
Today is a retro couch for you with a actually not that new game.
No?
But pretty new to us because we got it late. I guess we were the last two
Ever buy
people
this game.
ever
No.
to have
well.
or not have had that game.
There's so many games, so you gotta choose in what order to pick them up. Anyways, welcome to the couch. Happy Sunday. My name is Sarah. I'm the artist of the...
I was just...
And you distracted me. I'm the artist behind Pinselgeschichten and owner of this channel, and this lovely coffee-sipping creature next to me is my sweet husband, Daniel, who does the Gamer's Couches with me, who's just as much
That's my job, yeah.
of a board game
That's
nerd.
all I do here. Hold the duck and sit with you on a couch.
And annoy me once in a while. But that's good. It comes with the job requirement of a husband.
It's not as easy as you might think.
No, it's not. Anyways, we are talking board games every Sunday because we love board gaming and we have lots of opinions about different kinds of board games and we want to share them with you guys. We start the video with this boppity boppity boo that we just did and then go into rules and gameplay of the game. Talk a bit about what we liked
Boppity boo.
what we liked or not liked about whatever game we have on the couch afterwards and finish up with funny stories and experiences. And my sweet love, today you have to tell us all about 7 Wonders, rules and gameplay. Now.
Oh.
I always have to be so specific with him.
If you have seen our 7 Wonders duel video, you might now be very trigger happy and jump forward to our what we think section that is called differently, but I call it what I think now. Because I don't remember.
Likes and dislikes. It's the same thing every Sunday. For weeks and weeks and weeks. We're at number 60-something at this video. Why can't you remember?
Well, 7 Wonders. Actually, 8 Wonders. The 8th was me forgetting what the next section is called. This game is... a drafting game, similar actually to the game we just talked about, Schatzjäger or Treasure Hunter, where you will try to build your civilization through 3 ages, which are pretty much 3 stacks of cards. And try to build different buildings. You are very distinguishable from your fellow players at the table because each of you will have a different world wonder to try to build. Actually, those have 2 sides, so they give a little bit different gameplay depending on which side they have. You kind of, you can either give out randomly these cards as placeholder and then select which wonder you want to have. You may want to draft them. That's pretty much up to you, actually. After that, you start with the first age, depending on player number, and this game goes from 2 to 7 players, which is a really broad range, but it isn't too bad, actually, in terms of elongating the game itself, as you might see very soon when we talk about the actual gameplay mechanic. You remove cards from these stacks depending on the number of players you're playing with. You pretty much play with all the cards if you're playing with 7 players. Then you will hand out 7 cards unseen to every player. And on your turn, you have to draft one of the cards that you have at hand. And afterwards pass the cards to the player next to you. Depending on which age you're in, you do so either clockwise or counterclockwise, and that's why these little turn order circles are here to remind you. So at the same time, everybody's looking very interested in their card, and then make a choice and pick a card and do something with it. At that moment, you have 3 different options what to do with that card. You can just build it, and some cards specifically, or actually more often in the first stage, have no build requirements. So, for example, this card will produce silk for me, as the symbol indicates up here, and it costs nothing for me to build, otherwise there would be a cost up here. Let me see if I can find one. This card, for example, gives me some scientific knowledge, but I need glass to build this card. So I need at least 1 card in front of me that gives me glass. Or, and quite handy at that, my starting World Wonder tile also gives me a starting resource. So in this case, I could actually build this right from the get-go because I have 1 glass. These resources don't or are not lost from turn to turn. You will have new ones. So essentially, you are building out your empire, and the more cards you have in front of you, the more powerful is the stuff that you can build. You don't discard cards or anything like that. So just as another example, this is a card that gives you combat points or war points, and this costs clay to build. So if you don't have clay in front of you, well, you're out of luck. But maybe not, because there's another rule in here that says if you don't have the resources necessary to build, you may look to your neighbors to the left and right of you. If one of them has the resource, you may pay them 2 coins, and there's money in this game with these funny little coins that are a little bit misshapen, as in the Duels 2-player version. You may give that player 2 coins and then build this anyway. That player does not lose the resource, he just gains 2 coins and you are allowed to build this. Unless you have built a market card already, and this one gives you a direction and a discount. So in this case, I could build clay, stone, wood, or ore, or iron, or whatever that is. I think it's iron ore.
The diamond thingy?
Yeah, I think it's ore.
Yeah, it is.
I could build these with this market and pay only 1 coin as long as I get that resource from the neighbor to my left. Sorry, to my right, because
the women's left.
I was holding cards. I was looking through the card and see the arrow pointing in that direction. And as I said, some cards just have no requirement, can just be built whenever you see this icon here with a number. Those are the victory points for the end of the game, and he who has the most victory points at the end of H3 wins the game. The thing that's also quite nice in here, some of these cards will give you a bonus for a later card. So if you build the theater, or theater, as we call it here, you may build the statue or Statue for no cost later on if you have built the theater. So it's very similar to the Duels variant. Pretty much. It's no surprise the Duels variant came after this, so it's actually a refined 2-player version of this game. So on your turn, you pick one of those cards. You either build one of the buildings. That was option 1. Option 2 is if you cannot build anything, or if you want to deny a card to another player because they may have already been on the warpath far enough, you may discard this card and then get 3 coins for it. And the third option is you may choose one of these cards, but instead of play it or discard it, if you can pay the resources required for your World Wonder, you may start building it. And obviously you have to start at the seller fundament thing and then build out from there. Which brings us to a little segue to the World Wonders. Pretty much whenever you build one of these stages, you're getting a bonus, something sometimes as profane as you get 3 victory points here at the end of the game. Sometimes resources, so if you build the second stage, you get per round either a free clay or wood or stone, or if you manage to build the last stage, you get another 7 victory points at the end of the game. And as I said, there's an A side and a B side. They differ slightly. The B side is supposed to be a little bit more complex, or at least you should have at least a basic grasp of the game, how it flows before you should start playing with the B sides, although they're not as terribly complicated. And those powers for World Wonders are fairly unique. Some allow you to pick up cards from the trash pile and bring it into play. Others are just full-on military advancement, whereas some of these just give victory points and resources to build more stuff later on. So you continue doing that, and the reason why this is still rather fast, even if you're, or it doesn't matter if you're playing with 3, 4, or 7 players, that much, because everybody's doing that at the same time. So you pick one of your cards, decide what you want to do with that, and then hand over the cards to the player to your left or right, and then do that 7 times, well, actually 6 times. And in the last round, you have to choose between those one of those 2 cards, and the 7th card gets just discarded, and we go over to the next stage. But before that happens, we will have a quick look at who's the most powerful in terms of military force, and give a little bit of score tokens for that too. So I have held this card up. What you do is you count your military tokens and compare how many you have, in comparison to your neighbors. If you have equal as much as them, nothing happens. If you have more than them in the first age, you get 3 victory points. Oh, sorry. In the first age, you get 1 victory point. I grabbed the wrong one. In the second age, if you have more, then you get 3 victory points, and that is per neighbor. So it's 2 points in the first round, 6 points in the second round if you're really the leader there, or 5 points in the third age, which is a nice little point bonus, but you have to stay ahead of your enemies. However, if you're on the receiving end of this, you're getting a minus victory point token if you have less than whatever is around you. So yeah, you might want to at least keep a little bit of military around, so it's not that different from the real world. Being the bully pays out big, but it's still good to have some of the military guys around, unless you want negative victory points. So the first age and second age mostly build up your resource cards. There's typically brown cards that produce wood, stone, clay, and ore, and then there's the gray cards that produce glass, silk, and papyrus.
Yeah.
Those are the main production cards. And you want to have enough of them to afford the cards that come up in the second age, or more importantly, the third age. In the third age, things not only get expensive, but in fact, look at this. This gives 3 military points, but requires 4 resources to build this thing, which makes things more interesting. The other important thing to note about this is that Now you're distracting me because my train of thought was at something else. Why are you tipping on things?
No, because I separated that type of a card beforehand, and I didn't know if you noticed.
You're distracting
Payback!
me. And where was I? There's no resource cards in here for to build new stuff, so you're essentially either stuck with what you have, or you have to pay your neighbors to get resources, and actually you have to hope that they have the resources that you're missing. So pay attention, I'm trying to say here. Also, the third age gets mixed in cards that my wife tap on, which are called my wife tap on cards, or the guild cards.
I'm guilty of putting out the guild cards. I'm sorry, I'm goofy.
This is not a comedy show. You're not required to laugh. Guild cards. These pretty much give you endgame bonuses based on what their icons say. Some give you a specific amount of victory points per a specific type of card you have in your civilization. Others give you victory points for cards that other players have. So, for example, this one would give me 2 points per gray card that my neighbors have, which makes it quite interesting if you want to leave that out, if you want to take it yourself or give away points for that. These cards are randomly selected before kind of making up the stack of the third age cards, so you never know which cards are in there or where they show up. And again, after the second and third age, you do the little tally up of points, and for the military point distribution, when at the end of the game you will take a look at all the points that you have amassed so far, pretty much just adding up stuff from the cards you have in play. So some cards literally just give you those victory points and you add them up. Some of the yellow cards give you some effects. So, for example, this one gives you a coin per brown card you have in play right now, but it also gives you a victory point per brown card you have at the end of the game. The science cards give you points depending on how many of those symbols you have, and obviously the more of the same symbol you have, the more points you get, but you also get points for having sets of different science icons. Actually, this is different to the duels version where the signs and the military victories can end the game immediately. Here, you just get points for that at the end of the game, which might win you the game, mind you, but they don't end the game immediately just because someone has some victory condition achieved. I think that's it. It's not...
The only other difference that's to the duels is that everybody can build his or her world wonder, no matter how many are already completed. True. And other than that, you covered it all.
Yeah, it's not a terribly complicated game, actually. The thing that requires you to pay attention to is those 7 cards you have in your hand, and then you have to decide what do I want? What
can I do?
What can I afford to give the other player? Maybe if I feed them more military cards, that might go on not so well for me. But I don't want to spread myself too thin. I might have to pick up this resource because it's getting really expensive paying 2 coins to my neighbor all the time for that. Or maybe it's a resource none of my neighbor has, which potentially not only gives me that resource, but also incentivizes them to pay me for that resource on subsequent turns. It's a simple game, but it's a difficult game, depending on how many players you play with and how strategic you wanna get. And I might say this right away: there's a variant in here for 2 players. We also have a variant for 2 players in a different box. Get that box. So if you want to play this game for 2 players, you want to pick up the duels version. And I don't want to say don't bother with this, but this game is, I would say, it gets better the more people you have at the table. And we are sliding into likes and dislikes already. But obviously, the more people you have at the table, the more different the neighbors are that you have. So, for example, I wouldn't even say, yes, you can play this with 3, and this is what we predominantly played it. But the downside with having 3 players is that everybody has the same neighbors. Makes sense, right? Because there's only 2 other people. This is, however, more interesting, actually, if you have different, or each player has different neighbors, or at least mixes up things a little bit. You might not be able to get a resource as easily as in the other situation, or on the...
but it might help with the military kind of a thing. Like, he's not a neighbor, so you don't have to care if somebody on the other end of the table has the military cards and stuff like that. That
is true. I don't... Now I'm almost... getting into the other section.
We're getting into the official likes and dislikes.
But I was already into play experience because there was...
We're gonna talk about that.
So
Likes and dislikes.
We can just mix it up.
Keep going. I'm going to interrupt you when you're wrong.
There's no. I made it clear in other videos. I really like drafting games. This is no different to that. It is a lot meatier than Treasure Hunter in terms of decisions available to you, simply because you have so many avenues to generate points.
It's pretty much Treasure Hunter for grown-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much what I would say. I would say if you're playing with, let's say, a kid that's 8 to 10 years old, Treasure Hunter might be the better pick. Maybe even 6-year-olds. Maybe not because of the counting with the points, although that is kind of a plus if you're playing with little kids, to use that as a tool to encourage them to understand how
counting works.
How counting works, what's bigger than or smaller than, and especially if you're playing with the spells that multiply certain effects. This, however, is certainly from there on to grown up, because you have the risk there is if you have AP players at the table, the entire thing grinds to a halt, because as I said, as nice as it is that it is almost playing at the same speed for any amount of players, the thing that will bog it down with more players is the chance that you have more players that look deeply into their 7 cards and like, what should I? And as long as they don't give their cards forward to the next player, obviously you can't continue playing the game.
Well, you could have a clock or something with it and say after 90 seconds, you have to choose a card or something. You can, if you know you have AP players going into that game, bring a stopwatch with you, just to not grind the game to a halt, as he said.
That being said, if you play with people who know what they're doing, you certainly can achieve the playtime of 30 minutes that the box says. However, I think it's more realistic to consider this to go for 45 minutes, maybe longer, depending on the number of players who might take some time to formulate their decisions. Then again, unlike Treasure Hunter, this gives me more of a feeling of being a little bit more in control of what I'm pursuing, although it's like a wall of terrible decisions that I'm always running against, because I have yet to win in this. And drafting
don't
games,
look at me.
I like them.
But
I should
never
not
play them
I
with
should
me.
not play them with my wife and friends. Otherwise they're cool, I guess.
We're gonna try it with my mom and with your parents. Let's see if you have
This is a terrible idea, because that didn't work well with Treasure Hunter either. So
we'll see. Anyways,
if you have new friends to give away, send them my way. If they're terrible at drafting games,
yeah, right. Well, I do have a few more things to add to what you said. I'm absolutely in agreement with what you said. What I like about the game, what I think could drag it out a bit or might be a downside with playtime. But one thing that I did love about this game was the insert. Thank you! There's a publisher who knows how to play a game out of the box.
It is very similar to the layout you've seen in the Duels version.
Yeah.
And of course, this is just the base game. There's like what we call a metric ton of expansions available for this game. We have none of them, because we're late to the party and we just started with the base game. But my understanding is that the expansions add even more options and make it even more interesting. But so far from what we played, the base game is perfectly fine with what it offers. It's
enough for what we need for a game. I mean,
I wouldn't mind more options, but I'm seeing this as a very family-focused game.
Yeah, and just the two of us, we play Duels. We don't play this game together.
Yeah, but I wouldn't mind Duels to be a bit more involved.
If we're more than just the two of us playing, we don't play that every week. We have so many games that we
don't sometimes play every week.
that we sometimes wish the week would consist of 3 Sundays at least to have our gaming group together. But for what we need, the base game is enough. There might be a point sometime in the future where we say, we could have an expansion. We need more. But
I
not
agree
so far,
to your devastating assessment, saying we like this game, not quite enough to justify going out and picking up.
Yeah, because we have currently so many campaign games. And we only have 1 Sunday a week. I remind you of the Kingdom of Death, huge expansion that is on our really large game table right now. I'm actually terrified, but also very excited about this expansion. But there might be years coming up, and I hope they're not coming up, but there might be years coming up where board game industry is really fucking up what's coming out. Maybe
I think
60 years ahead.
That ship has sailed.
Maybe then we want an expansion, but for now, it's not necessary. If there wouldn't be as many other great games as there are on the market, I would say we would be in dire need of an expansion.
Yeah, but I would say, to be fair, this is a very singular personal problem of our situation.
Yes, I mean, yeah, but I'm not looking forward to an expansion right now.
This is not the game's fault.
No, it's not. It's the great authors and publishers' fault that bring out so many cool games and really cool games that I say, I don't need an expansion. Would it be like a market that sucked mostly? I would be in dire need of expansions for this game because I really like it.
I mean, just to give you a little bit of context here, we didn't pick up this game because we thought, well, Seven Wonders has been out. It was Spiel des Jahres
2011?
2011.
2011. Well, zeros are not counted.
And we didn't pick this up because we heard, and we certainly heard that it is good, and we now played duels and actually liked duels as a two-player game.
Yeah, really liked it.
The reason I picked this up is because of the name on the box, which is Antoine Bauza, and I know that Sarah really
talk French when you talk German.
Antoine Bauza.
Oh, I'm sorry, folks, that hurt. Oh boy. I hope he never sees this video. Let's
agree on Antoine. I'm not on a perdu with him, which is German for you, which is different than your you, because there's the you, and then there's the formal you, sie.
Whatever. German lesson. No.
So since it's one of Antoine's games, and someone in this household is a huge fan. This is the reason why we picked this up.
Yeah, it was actually my birthday gift last year, right?
No, wasn't it the
Advent? No. It was my birthday gift last year after Spiel. And I was like, what the heck? You found another. It's actually really.
It's getting very slim finding stuff that he did that we don't have yet. There's still 1 or 2 out there. Which and I try to save them up
for the next 2 years to come, and hope that he produces more games that we don't buy at Spiel. Anyway, coming back to the game, another thing that I really liked was the artwork, specifically on the boards. I really liked the play boards, and the artwork is just really, 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 really nice. It's just the same as it is with duels, but it's made very, very well. And there's a lot of tiny, sweet pictures on the cards as well. But since you choose a card and pass along the rest of the cards pretty fast, at least I don't look at the artwork of the cards that much. Maybe after the game or before the game when unpacking stuff like that. But I always look at my board and I really love it. That was one other thing was like, history nerd. playing against people and can be a smartass while setting up the game. It's just, yeah. I like it. Anyways, shall we rate before you tell your devastating tales of losing?
No, I mean before rating, I just want to reiterate and or say, if you would ask me to recommend a drafting game that lasts for more than a very specific age group,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it would be Seven Wonders that I recommend. If you don't have any game like this in your library, pick this up. If you have any drafting based games, you might still, and if you like them, you might really want to take a look at this at least and have it played once, because I mean, a lot of games reference this game. It seems, and it's interesting coming into this from a kind of later point and seeing some things reappear there from
Yes.
from other games.
Very much so.
Yeah. So that said, no, you have to keep a little bit of tension there.
If I squeeze your knee, is that tension enough?
The thumb has to be down.
Come on, it's a Antoine Bozar game. It's no surprise. 1, 2, 3, go. It's no surprise. He still has to make a shitty game. No, didn't do it.
Yeah, it's getting the tilted thumb because I still haven't won yet.
But
that's unfair. So it's getting a thumb up because my inaptitude is no reason to.
Yes, but
actually it is. But
let's hop into the funny stories and experience section, and now tell the folks of the internets how awful your wife is when she plays either Treasure Hunter or Seven Wonders against you. It does not work with the Seven Wonders duel. You won there quite a bit, but not in this game. How come?
I'd like to point out that this section is called Funny Experiences.
Funny stories and experiences. Learn.
And stories.
What you learn?
I have none to tell because it is not funny.
Oh, it's funny for me, but it's an experience for you. Tell.
I'm trying to melt your mind with my mind. It doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
So, as with any drafting game, I really try to make informed decisions and try to influence the outcome of the game in my favor, which is actually quite difficult if you're playing against two other people at the same time, where like in round one is like, yeah, this yellow card that I have, make sure that I only buy resources from her, and so that other player was only buying from her. Kind of
she bought from you,
leading to she didn't buy a single resource from me before age 3.
Yeah, but she did buy from you, because I didn't have glass, silk, papyrus,
and you.
I only had the browns, not the grays.
And you bought from her, so essentially it was
I also bought from you.
Yeah, but not
because
that
I needed the papyrus, and only you had it.
And whenever you wanted to buy something and both of us had it, whom did you not buy it from? You're a terrible human being.
No, there was only... She had silk at a point where you didn't have silk yet. You had it later, and I didn't need it anymore.
I actually had silk on my World Wonder base thing.
Oh, I didn't see that. But I bought the papyrus from you one time, and for all the other resources, I didn't need them. I didn't have to buy from anybody, because I was at end of the age 2, I was done with my World Wonder, and I had lots and lots and lots of resources as bonus from the World Wonders, and I didn't have to buy any. I didn't buy anything anymore other than military and the blue victory points. I didn't go for green because then I would have had to buy resources, and I liked that pile of money on my part because they were paying me tons and tons of money for stone, ore, and clay, because I pretty much
I'd like to point out at the end of that game I had 0 coins. You had almost twice as many points as I did.
Oh.
And that other infernal player was shortly behind you.
I had 6 points for coins, and you had
6 points
0
for coins. That means how many coins did you have?
Was it 2 or 3 per?
I think it is 3 per.
3, yeah. Like I said, I had a stack of money. But see, I had 0 green, 0 purple. Well, you had -4 points for military. That was really bad because Tina and I both had 8 points.
It's the treasure hunter dog situation all over, but this time it was with the military card where like I would like to, I can't build this. But I would like to, I have to do the other thing otherwise.
Yeah, but the game that we played before with her, we played it one more time with Tina. It was different, but still, you had no chance to even come close to winning. And I'm sometimes not sure if you're. I'm
doing no. Like you got me. I'm doing this intentionally because I like to make you feel superior when we talk about games.
No. I want to because you always anticipate so many moves of players and things in your mind, like with any game. I wonder, I wonder if this is actually
a terrible pun.
A disadvantage to you in this game because we can screw so much with you with the drafting thing that you anticipate things that will never come to place.
I actually look at what the other players are doing and try to mitigate that, but it always. So this game essentially for me boils down to you have 3, 4 maybe decisions to make every turn. One is there's a resource on hand. Do I build this or can I live without that resource? Compare it to the resources that I might need for my wonder, or actually you have to pick up resources at the beginning, otherwise you're screwed later.
But let's talk H2 and 3 because I think the critical decisions.
But that there's resources in H2 as well. So. Do I pick a resource for myself? Do I pick a military card, which usually is not as high on my priority list because there's other things that I usually need to build. Same for the what are they called? The blue cards, the culture cards.
Culture cards.
That give you victory points at the end of the game. You had a literal ton of those. You had 25 points in blue cards, and that is kind of now getting into the next decision level. It's like I see that you have them, then I try. Okay, I have to start denying those cards that you don't just have even more of.
Funny
but then I cannot build the stuff that I actually need to build to get my wonder done.
And here's where my thought process is kind of different. First of all, I'm with you with the resources. I have to have them. And like with Treasure Hunter, the decisions, take a dog first and then care about the rest, is take resources first and care about the rest later. Then, so after brown and gray, and I'm pretty much okay with the resources, I take either blue or red, so military or culture, depending on what I can afford. But I do not deny another person a card and then do not take what I want. So I always take what I want, no matter what you have.
I think my particular...
If then I'm fully set, like the whole H3 for me was denying you guys cards in the green department, because you both were really strong there and I had 0. I
think
that was the only, but I was done with the wonders and everything.
It would have been easier for me if everybody at the table would have had tried to deny some of the stuff, because I
deny only if there's nothing great else to do.
I already made that complaint about the money, but you were being fed by another player at the table. That wasn't me.
Yeah, but I don't deny cards if I can do something better for me.
Not
first me, and then I deny you. I don't deny you first and then take what I want. I always take what I need. And if you get something that you need, well, cool. But I deny you when I'm done.
But sometimes I don't build stuff even if I could build it, if that means that I have to. If I end up paying like 3 turns in a row the same player money for a resource I don't have, I try to do something different. Because
I try not to build something where I have to pay any other player. I'm okay with paying for my world wonders, but paying for the city, then there must be the blue cards with the 7 or 8 victory points. Then I'm paying. No, I'm not paying in any other circumstance.
That's something I also include in denying somebody something. So keeping track of how much money did I give someone. I mean, it is a resource that is a genuine advantage to another player. Yes, it's a wild card because I can kind of get the resource I'm missing. If that discussion didn't
you want to play with us at one point?
No, if that discussion didn't accurately reflect the thought process that goes on while
it's
you
pretty much a let's play.
Throw cards at the person to your left and right, try to kind of paper cut them on your way to victory.
I'm sorry that I'm so good with the 7 wonders.
This is something that devastates me until old
He's
age.
Crying all night. That's pretty much why you snore. This is like a payback for me winning 7 wonders and treasure
among other things. Yes.
Whatever.
Obviously.
I think, is there anything to add?
Me too.
Did you, by the way, one thing that I wasn't sure about, was it, or do you think it was easier for you to work with the manual after having played 7 Wonders Duel? Was it pretty much, I know that,
Yes.
that's the same? Or was it contrary and not really helping?
Yes and no. Actually, I again forgot that, but by now you should be used to that we start talking about stuff we forgot in the earlier segment. Did I like the manual? Pretty much yes. The nice thing is it comes with almost 2 reference sheets that you can hand out, which is incredibly useful if you have a lot of people sitting at the table. Then there's a very detailed account on how a turn works, and I think that's perfectly fine. You just go through the steps, and once you do that 2-3 times, you exactly know what to do. You only have to take a look at, so what happens at the end of the game, what happens at the end of a round, okay, military stuff, and then you just keep on repeating. So this is actually pretty nice. Now, as I said, it's some things were quite easy to grasp because we played duels before, because so much of this is similar. However, I had to look up a lot of things because wait, we did that in Duo. I think this is different here. Let me look it up again. So this is specifically everything that revolves around the science stuff and the military stuff.
Because that's really different. Yeah.
Yeah, it is different, but it's not super different. Yeah. So you want to make
sometimes
sure.
You're just not sure with how to collect
other things that are nice. There's a complete list of cards in the game, and there's a more in-depth description of how the 7 wonders are working with the 2 different sides. So yeah, it's a very nice package, very easy to grasp. As I said earlier, I would wholly recommend this as a family game. This actually gets bonus points because of the supported player count. As I said in other
7 is really good.
in other videos or talking about other games, it's really difficult to find games that cover a broad range of players, and this one is very solid. I would say from 3 to 7. So yeah, it doesn't feel too different with different amounts of players. Maybe with 3, but from then on out, it's still good.
The same.
So it's, even though it's not a party game,
it plays for a really big crowd.
You can go up to
Yeah, that's awesome. Anyways, let's wrap up. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. And we will see you next Sunday again on this couch. And if you are at all interested in how board games translate to artwork, watch Draw for Initiative on Wednesday.
What a segue. So
yes, I practiced the whole week just to get that segue in.
Okay, then give me my hints. I wanna try to figure out what's on the next.
It's one of both of our most favorite games of 2015. We haven't finished playing it yet. And
Does it involve little small rodents?
No.
Okay.
Now I know which one he talks about. No, it's not that one. It's cooperative. We ugly cried at one point, at least on the inside.
Does it come with a lantern?
No.
Does it have to do with death and devastation?
Yes. Yes, very much so.
And also psychological devastation of the players at the table.
Like I said, we ugly cried at least once on the inside.
Then I think I know, but you did already paint a drowning island.
No, no, it's not that. Oh, no. Honey, that game is so easy compared to this one. But it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience, I can tell you that. Do you know what it is? Let us know in the comment section. I'm curious. If not, or if, tune in on Wednesday, 9 a.m. CET.
Does it have a leg? And an ass? And an E?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I know what it is.
Enough hints.
It's Risk.
It's quite risky. See you on the next Gamers Couch and on the Draw for Initiative. Have fun, do all the good YouTube stuff meanwhile.
Goodbye.
Happy Sunday. Bye.